I can tell you, and I can say a little bit about who I am, and I can read your names off the screen. If you want to turn the camera on, if you have enough bandwidth, that'd be nice. Also, otherwise we can, it's not critical. But I can read your name. So Isaac Emmanuel, if you don't mind introducing yourself and let us know who you are. Well, I don't know if you can hear us, Emmanuel, but maybe if you can type into the chat, that would be good. Any questions, or if you feel that your microphone is not working, let us know via the chat. Uzoma and Borgu?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
I'm Uzoma Mogu. I'm Nigerian. Though I'm not really joining from Nigeria, I'm currently doing a master's program in the Cape Verde Islands. My background is in fisheries management exactly, but I'm currently doing my master's in climate change and marine science. So far, I've really been interested in various topics that have been discussed during this program. I've learned a lot, I must say. So I'm looking forward to a bit more of that today. Thank
Great.
you.
Well, thank you for joining us, Uzoma. That's great that you're joining from Cape Verde. I really would like to work with people there. So let us know if there's possibility for links. We work with a group called the Air Center in the Azores that has very close ties with Cape Verde and also with Geomar from Germany. I think, and I don't know how close you are related to any of those groups.
I have actually with the Azores, even attended, there was an ASCOS seminar, I think 2 months ago thereabout. It was about mainly researchers from Greece, right, working on dust particles and air, and mostly work on dust especially. So they came around to the Ocean Science Service Center here in Mindelo to, present what they've been working on, because they have some work they're carrying out here in Cape Verde and some machines that they use here too, all of which are mostly in the Ocean Science Service Center. So, yeah, we've come up with that.
That's fantastic. Well, welcome, and I hope that we can keep this conversation going after this session.
Surely.
Great, thank you. And Elijah Adeoye? Elijah, I don't know if you can hear us. Oh, okay. So Elijah posted something in the chat, and I assume, Elijah, that your microphone or your bandwidth is, but can you hear me okay, if you can say in the chat? Oh, okay, perfect. Very good.
Why is it like this? Why not the same size? Yes. It's okay, it's okay. The same size, 4, 5, 2.
The next one is Comfort. Since you have your microphone on, can you say something about you? And then if possible, people can keep their microphones closed if they're not talking in the meeting.
So sorry. So sorry. Comfort. Yes, thank you. Environmental scientist. My director at the children's student at the University of Abuja doing my doctoral. I finish my field work and try to to analyze my data and do all the reporting and defects. Thank you. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Comfort, can you hear me okay? Because your network seems to be, the bandwidth is a little bit low. And so I cannot hear you very well, but I hope that you can keep in touch afterward.
Thank you. I can hear you very well.
Okay, perfect. Great, thank you. Next is Ochuko Joshua Riega.
Yes, Prof.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Prof.
How are you doing? Good. Can you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, first of all, I must commend you for calling my name rightly. It's not easy for a foreigner to pronounce it the way you pronounce it. You pronounce it accurately, as if you've been to Nigeria before. So I have to commend you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Like you said, my name is Erega Ochiko Joshua. I'm a Nigerian living in Nigeria. I'm in the Niger Delta part of the country, which contributes bulk of to the nation's gross domestic product, where the crude oil is actually produced. I'm a lecturer in the Nigerian Maritime University, a community located in the highland. So it's a coastal community where we have direct access to the aquatic environment. And the school is located about 20 minutes boat drive to the mouth of the ocean. I mean, the Atlantic Ocean. So just 20 minutes drive on boat to the mouth of Atlantic Ocean. So we actually interface with a lot of fish farmers every day. We share the same boat with them, share the same environment with them. So that's what I do. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you tell us what you're measuring or what you're doing with the fishermen?
Okay, I'm actually a fisheries and aquaculture person. My aspect of research is on ecology, actually. I talk about the diversity of fish species within the Okereke estuary. That's my area of research. But I have some colleagues who actually work on fishing gears and craft and gear selectivity. But I'm into fish ecology.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof.
Next is Ulrich Joel Bilunga.
Yes. Good afternoon, Prof. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Ulrich Joel Bilunga. I'm Cameroonian. I'm PhD student in marine science and also a research technician at the Experimental Research Station on Marine Ecosystem of Kribi. Kribi is a country in south of Cameroon. My research work is focused on ocean acidification, where I'm working on carbonate chemistry and also on monitoring some zooplankton, marine zooplankton. So I wanted to see if change in carbonate chemistry have an influence in zooplankton community in our area. So that's my work. Thank you.
Ulrich, this is very interesting. I'm very interested in that kind of work. So we should keep in touch if possible. And are you working in lakes or in marine systems?
In coastal ocean, marine.
Okay, great. Because you also have a lake that is very high in CO2, right?
Yes, yeah. But I'm working, so I'm just learning. Ocean acidification in our country is just at the beginning stage. So I'm one of the pioneers that started such kind of work. So I'm also learning. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. I hope that we can stay in touch. So that's good.
Okay. Thank
Great.
you.
Next, I'm going to call on Olamilekan John. John, I see your chat. do you want to speak? Well, Olamide can put his field in the chat so we can read that. So welcome to the lecture. And Victoria, since you are on the, she just joined, can you say Victoria Mecca? Victoria, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, Frank.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, I just joined in, so did you ask a question? I'm just joining.
Yeah, we are going through introductions just to let everybody know who you are, and I'd like to know who you are and what you do.
Okay. My name is Victoria. I am affiliated to the University of Calabar, precisely the Faculty of Oceanography. I am a marine geologist, a recent PhD graduate, specialized mostly in environmental pollution and micropaleontology, with particular reference to benthic foraminifera. I have worked mostly on the estuaries of the Gulf of Guinea. I have a master's degree in applied marine geoscience from Bangor University in the UK. So presently I'm into foraminifera in relation to climate change and pollution in brackish water environments. And that's where most of my research is centered around at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very interesting background. Next,
thank you.
Great. I'll call on Great Igiakume.
All right, good afternoon.
Hi,
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, I'm Great Igekume. I'm from Nigeria, and I reside here. I'm a graduate of Marine Science and Technology from the Federal University of Technology, Akure. I've been involved in research along the coastline of the southwestern part of Nigeria, that's Ondo State, where we conducted bathymetric surveys, and we also assessed the hydrochemistry of some of the estuaries in that region. And right now, I'm interested in opportunity, graduate school opportunities where I can conduct research for chemicals, majorly pollutants in our water bodies. That's basically it.
Thank you. Very good. Appreciate that. Let me see. I see a Joaji Suji Precious.
Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Precious, an undergraduate student in Department of Meteorology and Climate Science. In Nigeria, that's Federal University of Technology, Akure. And I actually more interested into using satellite data to apply it to our day-to-day activities in the sense of agriculture, pollution, and environmental hazards. So kind of picking an interest in satellite application, let me say satellite meteorology, that we have been branching into, but I'm still an undergraduate, so I plan furthering in that as I move further. Thank you.
No, thank you. I have done a lot of satellite data work, and especially with ocean color and water quality. So I would be interested in seeing if I can help in any way in providing data or helping doing some analysis. So please keep in touch.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate that from my end too.
Sure. Emmanuel Oyo.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mano Oyo. I'm an undergraduate student of the University of Calabar. I intend in furthering for masters after my undergraduate program, probably anywhere I could get myself to.
Yeah, any particular interest?
Yeah, I'm interested in environmental monitoring.
In chemistry, physics, biology?
Geology.
Okay, very good, great. I think I've asked everybody, or did I not mention somebody? I think Elijah, we couldn't get you, although you put something in the chat, but I think everybody else did speak, right? Oh, there's Wise Good Look. Wise, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, please.
Yeah, good afternoon. Was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about you, 1 minute, who you are and maybe why you're here.
All right, thank you very much. I'm Wise Goodluck Dachumo from Ghana. I'm a student in a master's program, WASCA master's program here in the Cape Verde. And the program is on climate change and marine science. I think I've been following this Question Summer School for quite some time now. I think this is my second time. So it's been interesting since I started. So I just want to continue and then gain more knowledge over here. So I think that's why I'm here today.
Well, great. Thank you very much. I'm going to type my email in the chat before we run out of time. And you're welcome to. And I'm personally a marine biologist, an oceanographer at the University of South Florida in St. Petersburg in the United States. And I'm leading a number of efforts to try to coordinate how people measure life in the ocean and for a specific purpose, like are there specific applications that require marine life? And so I will talk a little bit about that. And I welcome your participation in some of these efforts because we need volunteers. We would like to advance some of these ideas that I'm going to talk about in Africa. And it is something that is very much linked to our well-being as people. So let me share my screen. And I hope that you can see that.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So I will talk to you about the Marine Biodiversity Observation Network, or MBON, and a thing that we built on MBON that we call the Marine Life 2030 effort. Marine Life 2030 is a program under the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, or what we call the Ocean Decade. And I'll tell a little bit about that. But the whole point is to try to standardize observations, to increase the number of observations of marine life, and to implement these in a way that is standardized so that we can compare things over time and from place to place so that we can actually detect what changes are happening because we're using the resources or because there's climate change. And that's why I think it really needs everybody to participate to the extent possible. At the moment, there is no systematic effort coordinated internationally to observe life in the sea, which is really surprising. If you look around, meteorologists do this for wind and rainfall, humidity. The physical oceanographers are trying to coordinate measurements around temperature and salinity and of course density and currents, but there's nothing like that for biology. Chemists have also, I think somebody mentioned here, the ocean acidification problems. And so there are some standards and there's an effort to measure pH in the sea in a more or less standardized way, but there's nothing like that for biology. And so we want to do that with these programs. So the Marine Biodiversity Observation Network is seeking to enable the efforts to characterize marine biodiversity and how it's changing and how that affects us. So I wonder if somebody talked about this during the course this week. This is not a very new report, but it's still a very valid report from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or the OECD. And the OECD tries to make projections or analysis of the economy of the world or particular regions in the world. And they did this for the ocean in 2016, and they've done a couple more since 2016. They estimate that what they call the blue economy, or the economy that is associated with the ocean and fisheries and seafood processing, shipping, aquaculture, and so on, is about 1.5 to 2.5 trillion US dollars. That's a very big number. And they expect that by 2030, this is going to grow. So there's going to be more jobs and there's going to be more money generated in the coastal economy, again, through aquaculture, fisheries, but other things that are coming up very quickly, like mining, biotechnology, and other services for the ocean, like shipping and so on. Now, all of these, or many of these, have to do with life or have an impact on life, like mining and coastal development, wind energy, and other types of ocean activities. And the thing is that if we don't really measure or have a standardized way of measuring biology or what's living, we will not know the impact, and in the end, it may hurt our own economy. It may impact because of pollution, or it may impact because of mining in an area where you destroy an environment that we could depend on. And so the whole point is try to prepare ourselves in a way that we can respond when somebody needs biological measurements. So the question is, who needs biological data? Or do we just take fish or do things whenever we want, wherever we want, without regard for actual life? So what type of technologies are available to measure biology? And things are changing. And so we'd like to see how we can engage people like you in measuring things. And the reason that we want to do that is to make measurements of change and to forecast these change, just like people make forecasts about the weather. If we look around in public databases, there's one in particular that is called the Ocean Biodiversity Information System, or OBIS. And there are some nodes in Africa, but if you look around the world, and especially people that are interested in satellite data, will look at the world in the surface ocean. You know, satellites look at the surface. And if I wanted to compare a satellite measurement to surface records in all over the ocean, this is what I would see. Most of the ocean has no measurements. And this is a picture that collects all the records in biology for the surface ocean that are public and that have some taxonomy associated with it since the early 1900s. So the coverage is very poor. And then you can imagine that coverage over time is even more poor. So there's not a good way to address, you know, when you hear people saying that the biodiversity is being lost or that we have changes due to climate change, it's very hard to actually say what is happening because we don't have the measurements. So we only know that the habitat is changing because of climate change or because somebody is mining or somebody is developing the coast, but we don't have an actual way to track life everywhere. And this program that we're talking about, MBON and Marine Life 2030, builds on a long history of efforts to try to do this. And it started in the 1990s with the Global Ocean Observing System, GOOS. You may have heard about that. And there are some regional efforts under the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, IOC, in Africa that are trying to promote that we can build on these Global Ocean Observing System associations. And so each region has an association, and some work well, some don't work very well. But they didn't do biology, even though they recognized that looking at biology was already was important already in the 1990s. They were saying that. So in 2000, some of you may remember the program called the Census of Marine Life, and that was for 10 years. People all over the world went out and sampled for taxonomy, just in a discovery way, to try to make a census of what's there, but not to see how it changes and not to build time series. And so that was something that we still need today. But it was a very important effort to try to document species around the world. That went away in 2010. And many countries around the world decided to put some effort into additional effort into something called the Marine Biodiversity Observation Network. And that's where we are today. We have piecemeal efforts trying to standardize and integrate data, and especially to build time series using a number of methods. And I'll talk about the methods later. So that links to this Group on Earth Observations, GEO or GeoBond, and it links with the Global Ocean Observing System, trying to integrate biology into ocean observing. Now, in 2017, 2015 or so, 2015, the United Nations declared these Sustainable Development Goals. And in 2017, they declared that there should be a decade of ocean science for sustainable development. And that decade started in 2021. And there were some programs that were established. One of those is Marine Life 2030. Marine Life 2030 is sort of it builds on the Marine Biodiversity Observation Network, and it tries to develop new partnerships with a vision of collecting observations to make forecasts that are beneficial to people. And so that's where I would like to invite you to participate, is in these two programs, MBON and Marine Life 2030. And there's many other programs that are linked to the Ocean Decade. There's, for example, one that is more focused on genetics and omics in general. That's the Ocean Biomolecular Observing Network. There's one that is focused on ocean acidification, or OARS. There's one on the deep ocean, or DEWS, and Challenger 150. And there's one focused on acoustics, and that's the Maritime Acoustic Environment Program. So there's really literally many things excuse me?
Oh, I'm sorry, continue.
Okay, thank you. You can interrupt me anytime if you have questions, please. We're trying to build these concepts on what we call essential ocean variables, and you can see them here. We have one pretty much for every group of organisms in the ocean, and also for specific coastal habitats like coral, macroalgae, seagrasses, and mangrove. And we're defining the specification sheets on how you would measure things about these variables. So just keep in mind, there is something called essential ocean variables, and you may have heard this for physics and biogeochemistry also. So these are all linked together through the Global Ocean Observing System. And we have the idea that if we do this the right way, we can answer societal questions like how much do you benefit, how much does a coastal community benefit if you measure something about the temperature, the salinity, the ocean acidification parameters, and something about biology, or does it affect the fisheries, or does it affect coral reefs and mangroves? And so the requirements for these observations are collected by the Global Ocean Observing System. So they serve as a way to define what is and what has to be measured. The Marine Biodiversity Observation Network and others are trying to implement the mechanisms, the measurements, using specific standards and technologies. And the data again gets put into either a national database or these international databases like the Ocean Biogeographic or Biodiversity Information System, OBIS, to then share publicly and openly and you can develop indicators or environmental impact statements and so on as products that are useful to guide management. All of this together. So these elements is what we would call Marine Life 2030. Some of the technologies that we have today that have advanced to look at microbes and phytoplankton, zooplankton, fish, larger fish or birds and reptiles like turtles, or the habitat forming creatures on the benthos include optics, animal tracking technologies, and animal tracking can be through acoustics or satellite tracking. Acoustics itself, yesterday we had a lecture on acoustics as part of COSING. You can have active or passive acoustics to measure what's happening in the environment. Genomics covers an enormous spread of things, but it's still an evolving set of techniques. Then we have a number of platforms that can be automated or left, or you can carry them on a boat. And we have satellites to carry very large scale observations in a synoptic manner. And then we have the whole issue of data and how we manage data and visualize it. And there's not a lot of standards there. So all of these technologies are emerging. There's a lot of work to be done in trying to standardize things, and especially how to manage the very large amount of data that we may be getting from these different techniques and share them. So one example, one of the things that we're trying to do here in Florida, on the left-hand side is a picture of South Florida, and on the south side, all those dots are areas of coral reef. And we're trying to understand how things change over time if you were to do a restoration project. Okay, so there's people that are trying to plant either seagrasses or trying to plant coral reefs. And what we want to do is want to measure if these efforts are successful. So we try to combine some of these methods. If you see no change, well, maybe the method is, or the restoration effort is not very successful. But if you do see change, is it for the better or for the worse? So we're trying to do this to collect data sets, build databases, look at taxonomy or other type of biological information over space and time, and make maps and track abundance over time to see if we can detect trends and even forecast what is happening. So the ocean decade was proclaimed to be established and was actually then formed or initiated in 2021. So what we want to do with the decade is highlight these kinds of needs so that we can connect science and user requirements, build the technical capacities. So everything that you're doing is very relevant. And so all of you are very welcome to participate in the Ocean Decade and put your grain of sand so that we all can have a better life. But we can do that better by using standard methods for monitoring life. So we want to invite you to participate in that. The way to do that is to sign up for volunteer activities or to do fundraising jointly with people around the world. And there's a website where you can do that. And that's marinelife2030.org. So Marine Life 2030 has an email. It's marinelife2030@gmail.com. And we will respond to you if you write us, or if you write me personally, I will also be in contact with you. So I welcome a short discussion to let me know if you're interested in this or what you would like to do, or anything that you would want to know now or later. Let's talk about it. Are there any questions?
In progress.
Hello, Yewande.
It looks like Comfort has her hand raised.
Ah, okay, Comfort.
Thank you very much, Professor Frank. Very interesting and great. I think it's an excellent presentation. I honestly am 100% interested in this. I appreciate, thank you very much for the invitation to participate in the program. And I want to indicate that I am interested in being part of this program, the Marine Life 2030 program. Thank you very much.
Comfort, that's really great. Can you send me an email, or can you send an email to marinelife2030@gmail.com? I put that in the chat.
Thank you, I'll do that.
Yes. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you very much, please.
Ulrich, your interest in the ocean acidification in Cameroon was very interesting, because we're trying to establish a link between the biological measurements and how life changes over time and ocean acidification. So we're looking for that kind of linkages. And I don't know if you're connected to this program that tries to do this on a global level or coordinate, called GOA ON. And there's the ocean decade equivalent is ORS.
Hello?
Hi, Ulrich.
Yes, I don't know if you are asking me a question. I didn't understand well.
Yeah, I think Olusola, if you can mute your mic. Yeah, thank you. Ulrich Joel, there's a program called GOA ON, Global Ocean Acidification Network, Observation Network, and something called ORS that is also part of the Ocean Decade. And they are trying to organize measurements of ocean acidification around the world. And we are trying to connect to that program to see how biology changes as the chemistry of the ocean changes. So I was just wondering if you had heard about GOA ON and about ORS.
Yes, I'm a member of the GOA ON network since 2017, and is due to be part of this network that I started working on ocean acidification. I took some courses they organized, some training in 2017 and some other in 2019, and it is this training that helped me to start my research. So yes, I'm connected with the GOA ON, and even the Africa section, the Africa Ocean Acidification Network. And actually, we are working with Ocean Foundation in capacity building in the Gulf of Guinea in ocean acidification with Dr. I forgot the name. He's an professor of University of Ghana. So we are working together to try to bring more people involved in ocean acidification monitoring. So yes, I'm aware of that.
Excellent. That's really great. But one of the things that you're doing that not very many people are doing is you're measuring biology also at the same time. And so that's why this makes it very interesting.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'd like to follow up with you if you can write me, because I'm working closely with the GOA ON and ORS people and the Ocean Foundation people to see how we can better coordinate biological measurements and ocean acidification measurements. And since you're doing that, maybe you can help us be an example for other people.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, excellent. Thank you. I really appreciate if you write me. Are there any other questions?
Thank you very much, Professor Frank, for the very insightful lecture. So for my PhD, I tried to look at the environment, that's the estuaries within the Gulf of Guinea, from a an integrated approach, looking at both the biological component and the physical component of the estuaries. And one of the things I was trying to look out for was these zooplanktons we call foraminifera, which are very sensitive to environmental conditions. I was looking at their spatial distribution and vertical distribution, as well as their trends in the estuary. And some of my observations were that there are different species that are more, you can find them more towards the brackish water environment, like the agglutinated species I found mostly upstream, probably because of the freshwater influence, which is more acidic. And then the calcareous ones were more towards the estuary mouth, which has more marine influence. So just trying to link that up, I discovered that the agglutinated species, you have them more where you have acidic pH conditions. And I think I'm really very interested in the Marine Biodiversity Observation Network, because most of my focus now is towards the benthics within the environment and how environmental conditions affect their distribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. I also appreciate if you write me and follow up on Marine Bond or M-Bond, and we will do that. So that's great. I think one of the points is just like Ulrich Joel mentioned, that there's an Africa network for ocean acidification. Is there a possibility for us, this group, to help put together the seed for a continental-wide or even a region-wide network for marine biodiversity observation? So that would be one goal. It would be having a way to communicate with each other, share experiences, share ideas about standards, and if possible, share capacities, or be invited to come here or go there. That sort of thing. Those kinds of exchanges can be very, very fruitful.
Yes, I think that would be a very good idea if we can leave our contacts or try to establish a link where we can share experiences and share ideas on the way forward. That would be a very good one.
Yeah, so M-Bond and Marine Life 2030 together are trying to do that. And so if you can help us with that, Victoria, we would welcome that very much.
Okay, so I will try, I'll leave my email. I don't know if we can, how are we going to go about it?
Well,
especially
the easiest way is you email me. I'm gonna type my email again in the chat, or you email marinelife2030@gmail.com.
Okay.
And that way we can, I will reply, and then you have my contact, and we will have a conversation on exactly how we do that, because there's never a clear path on exactly how we do that. It depends on your interests and what you want to do and what we can do. So all of you are more than welcome to get engaged in this way.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So I see that Ulrich is interested in Comfort also. Comfort, if you can write me directly, because I'm not sure that I keep the chat when this is over.
Okay, Prof. I'll do that.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Joshua.
Yeah, I'm good. Well done, Prof. My name is Josiah Wuka. I'm a research fellow and a lecturer at the Institute of Maritime Studies, University of Nigeria. I'm joining online actually. I think I'm so much pleased with your presentation. I remember that at the early stage, you made mention of the the fact that there is no coordinated international effort or strategy, to achieve a sustainable ocean biodiversity management. And I realized that there are a number of, like you highlighted, a number of ocean management advocates or ocean biodiversity advocates, in different regions, like in Africa, in Europe, Asia, and so on and so forth. Now, my question is, what do we need to do, to achieve such a, integrated or coordinated approach, that will link up all the efforts at different regions, at different nations, and so on and so forth.
Well, this is exactly,
not all the oceans are exactly the same in characteristics, and not all the parameters, of ocean measurement and ocean management, are existing in the same pattern in all the oceans we have, globally. So how do we, achieve this integration or this coordinated effort? Thank you.
Yeah, Josiah, this is a very, very important, and of course, the central question for everything that we're trying to do. So in the Marine Biodiversity Observation Network, we're trying to promote the idea that let's have a conversation with people around the world about using certain standards for storing biological data. Right now, if you go around, every biological lab in every university does things differently. They store things in different spreadsheets in a different format, and they output data in many different formats. There's just no standard, even though there are standards around, but people don't use them. Okay, so that's a problem. So learning about the standards, knowing how to implement them, bringing them to the classroom so that students can learn about the standards is very important. And that's true for if you use a microscope, or if you do visual identification of taxonomy, or if you use omics or environmental DNA, or if you use acoustics. This is true all over the place. So it's an enormous challenge to just talk about making measurements that are comparable to each other. So that's one conversation that we're trying to move forward. The second one, and this is more on the Marine Life 2030 effort in the Global Ocean Observing System, is what measurements are necessary for management or for some other type of societal benefit, either for aquaculture or fisheries or mining or environmental impact statements. Can we have a conversation about how do we share data that typically may not be shared, and how do you do that in a standardized way, or at least what is the minimum that people could share so that we can understand changes over time and the causes of that change, like climate change or acidification or overuse of resources. So the way that we're approaching this, Josiah, is simply having conversations, is trying to talk to people and trying to see who can work with us in advancing these goals. So there's no magic solution here. This is a very complicated problem that goes back centuries. And so we're trying to advance it so that we can do better biogeography, better science, and better management. So you're absolutely right. It's a tough problem. But I think that if we don't try to address these tough problems, it will never get done.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. I also want to add that, as a component, as a critical aspect of the conversation is also the issue of networking and capacity building.
Yeah.
Networking among professionals, also among learners, that's early career, researchers and scientists, in the ocean management industry or ocean economy, Yeah. If such a network is built, between professionals, between experts, like you and others, and the students, the early career researchers and scientists and so on and so forth, and also policymakers, very important, policymakers, government, decision makers, and implementers of policies. All this, we need to bridge them together. We need to synergize, so it's not just about, stopping at the level of, training, but the key stakeholders that need to be involved should be brought on board so that, whatever that is agreed, whatever that is discussed, everybody will be on the same page. It will flow, it will cascade from the management, the policy level to implementation level or practice level. That way, I think it will also help. Having also said that, I want to express my interest in the maritime acoustics and also marine life, because I have my background is marine environmental protection from Bangor University, United Kingdom, and I teach maritime regulations and shipping, regulations of shipping and commerce in the institute where I work. So I would like to have an experience in maritime acoustics and also work with you in marine life and marine biodiversity observation network, as the case may be. So
Great,
let's.
yeah,
I also want to advise that, if there's any way you can help to, support in capacity building. I mean, especially in Africa, in this part of the world, where we still have, we're still growing. It's an emerging environment, it's an emerging society in, in ocean management, ocean environment management, and so on and so forth. So it will help us also to be able to come up to a global standard, at least to some extent. Thank you.
Thank you, Josiah. These are very good points, and I hope that you write me, because we are exactly on the same wavelength. So we are very much engaged in these, and especially capacity development and linking with policy is exactly what we want to do. So I welcome your participation. I think that we're up against the end of the hour, because I think that it's going to now merge into the closing ceremony, and I want to thank everybody. I see that Olamiken has a question, but it has to be very quick because we need to close.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi, Frank.
Hi.
I have a question. Can I ask my question?
Yeah, quickly.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I just wanted to ask, how do you think I can be useful as an undergraduate to the Marine Life 2020 program, especially like in what category do you think I can be useful, since I'm not so much of a professional and it sounds like more of a professional work? So could you suggest in what category you think I can be useful as an undergraduate, especially an undergraduate that is not in the biology field, or that is in a field that is different from biology?
Yeah, I think that the best way is to write us, Olamilekan, and all of the things that Josiah just talked about are going to require a lot of work from volunteers or people that get involved and help us coordinate and link out with other groups. So there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of things that anybody here can contribute to, but just please write us and express that interest, and we will try to work with you and see how. I have the same question all the time as you, so this is a very, very good question, is how can I do the best and contribute? So I as long as you have that question, we can work with you. So that's very important. Thank you. And when I think that we need to close, right?
Sure, yeah, that would be good if we can, yeah, kind of wrap up. Then we'll, yeah.
So very good. And the closing ceremony will be right here, this link?
Yep, so we're staying right here. We'll give people a couple of minutes to join us if they weren't already on the Zoom, and yeah, then we'll launch into the closing ceremony.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everybody. I really thank you for participating and stay in touch. And thank you, Wayne, for your help.
You ask for money to pay
Thank
for
you,
your
Prof.
tuition
Thank you.
and then they start them for the student.
Thank
If
you.
they are
Thank you.
successful with the grant and they are awarded that